Welcome to the SOB radio show, where we have fun, interesting guests, and hot topics. Each week, we offer insights into music, fashion, health, fitness, and humor. Do you have the perfect guest for us to interview? I want to know. Drop me a line on our Facebook page at Spunky Old Broad 1 or reach out to me on our website at spunkyoldbroad.com. And now, back to the show. We have a very interesting guest today. Her name is Dr. Bolliger, and for 2 decades, she's been a visionary and an international speaker and has trained healthcare practitioners on how to integrate body and mind while addressing pain, trauma, and health. Her vision of a healer in every household fosters responsibility and embraces healing rather than fighting disease. Collaborative doctor-patient relationship is key to her healing approach as a naturopathic physician, classical homeopath, and a Bowen first therapist. She helps each person understand the vital role they play in the healing process so they can go beyond the diagnosis and embrace their life. Dr. Bollinger's unique LISTEN methodology fosters a deep dive and reflection upon our purpose, our true self, what gifts we are here to embrace. In her collaborative work on TED Talks, gets to the root of the unique message our life has been created to share and helps people embody their real story. She is the author of an Amazon bestseller, What Patients Don't Say, Doctors Don't Ask. Welcome, Dr. Bollinger.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Gayle Carson, for inviting me, and I'm thrilled to be sharing, whatever I can with your listeners.
Well, first of all, you have founded a college called Bowen College, and have trained healthcare practitioners. Why did you feel this was? And I mean, is this like a real college where they have a great variety of subjects they have to study, and how long does it take them to get through, and what kind of a degree they end up with? A whole bunch of questions about that.
Okay, well, maybe I'll start with the why first, because I think that for me, it's the why that drives absolutely everything. And I am officially trained as a naturopathic physician. So, that requires to do your pre-med. It requires you to go 4 years full-time. It's a lot of dedication. And I came out with a lot of skills. And I've been in practice 25 years with those skills. But something, just a burning desire to make things simple, to really reach lots of people and change sort of the therapeutic relationship for practitioners with their clients and patients is really what's behind that. And one of these little tools is called Bowen Therapy. And Bowen Therapy, when I learned it, I didn't come up with the methodology to start with. It actually was named after a fellow called Tom Bowen from Australia. But what I did do is, for the last 25 years, I've added more to it as I was seeing, about 150 patients a week and helping them get out of pain and deal with trauma and feel completely embodied. And so I realized that was like the secret language to the body. And it's the secret language that the patient or the client recognizes that their body can heal. And so it's a very simple methodology to learn. It doesn't take the 4 years. You don't need to know all of your pharmacology. You don't need to understand microbiology. You really just need to understand human beings and the body. So when I created Bowen College, I decided that I would have it available for the health enthusiast, the one that decides, I'm done with doing what I'm doing. I want to either really take charge of my health, and I want to help my family very simple entry-level, programs that can support that vision. And then I have like a one-stop shop, what it takes to be a certified Bowen health therapist. In other words, just enough, on nutrition, just enough on Chinese medicine, just enough perspective that you feel competent in doing this physical-based therapy. And so, if you've never touched a body, well, there is a training involved in doing that. And so that was my goal. And for practitioners, it's really something like a tool they can add to their already existing practice. And it sort of initiates healing in a way that when I've compared, and again, this is not about saying that, all the other complementary and alternative therapies aren't perfect as they are. It's just that it tends to really initiate the healing process for every other therapy, but also in the patient themselves. It connects the patient, the client, to their own body. And so, for me, when I know that, fundamentally you have to eat right, you have to make lifestyle changes, but try telling a person in pain that they should be cutting out, for example, and again, I'm not preaching any single diet because it's very individualized, but let's say they're reactive to, now the popular thing is gluten. They react to that. It might be the pesticides, actually, that are being sprayed on the wheat, but nobody talks about that, or very few do. But let's say that they're reactive to that. They should be taking that out. But if they have never experienced, the magnificence of the body and its full ability to actually heal and to change, they're not likely going to follow a 6-week or 6-month program that requires them to sacrifice anything. And go ahead.
How would I even know about this? I mean, I certainly have never heard of this until I came across you. And how would I know, first of all, that this theory exists? That number two, it's something that I should be a part of, and exactly what kind of healing is this? I mean, how would I know that this is something that should be prescribed for me?
Okay. So in other words, it's not out there sufficiently, so people don't know that it's even an option that they could have, right? That's part of the problem, and that I'm hoping that I'm part of that solution. So part of my personal drive is to to share this with as many people as possible, so that when, like, the saddest thing I've ever encountered in my practice was somebody coming in saying, oh my God, I've been in pain for 15 years and I wish I knew this existed. And so my mission is that I never hear those words again. And, that's the driver. So what I'm doing personally about it, I'm committing now to do videos, to talk, on radio, to talk about this, and not just talk about it. There's really a movement, and this movement includes some of my patients, some of the practitioners I've already trained. I've trained about 1,500 practitioners in North America, and some that have flown in from elsewhere. And the commitment is really to work with workshop leaders. In other words, people are so committed to getting this out that in their practices, they're committing to have a free public talk about this, a demonstration, answering questions, really like from the grassroots level up, rather than just go to the website. You can go to bowencollege.com and you can see testimonials, both from practitioners, from doctors, from patients, etc. But what's missing is, and this often, when something sounds too good to be true, what you need to do is experience it. You need to actually see it to believe it, or feel it to believe it. And I've come across this so much that I've changed the model in my business. In fact, it's informed me that the people who have gone through this are so passionate that they want to participate at that level, and that's what's happening. And since I have really focused on this, and I've closed my practice, my personal practice now after 25 years, since I've committed on this, I've had 4 different places in South Africa, in Australia, and actually I have a college in the UK that is following exactly this principle, this idea that's really wanting to share from the base. So that answers part of your question. Was there something I've missed?
It's interesting because you said you never wanted to hear what that man had to say ever again. But it's interesting because I was thinking today of a conversation I'm prepared to have with my son, which I've really never had before, and that is I'm in pain every single day because I'm a 3-time breast cancer survivor, and I've had 16. And with all the scar tissue and all the other areas, and of course the body shifts all the time, and just everything else that is going on as you age. So I'm thinking, do I now start getting massages because the medication that I'm on causes a lot of stiffness. So do I go for acupuncture? Do I get massages, or do I go somewhere where they know even where find a practitioner like that? So that's what I'm saying. How does someone like me or someone listening to this, or because we go, internationally, where would people find out about this?
Well, at this stage, it's unfortunate, but I would say contact bowencollege.com. That's the website. We have a form, to fill out. That's probably your best first bet. What we're hoping to get off the ground is the Bowen practitioners, or VPANA. It's a group for the public, run by volunteers, and we actually have a website, but we need more support to get people behind that, so that there's questions answered and that we can spread this. So I would say that part of the movement, you can Google, it doesn't really help you find a specific practitioner. It is a little bit the Wild West right now in that way. And we're really trying to get this more organized, but we're a small group, and we're working collectively. But I would say that for the public to reach it, it's more challenging now. In Canada, there's the Canadian Examining Board for Natural Healthcare Practitioners, which has a database of all the people who do Bowen therapy. But there's more to be done. So in every country, we're going to be creating an international network. Find a bowenpractitioner.com, which we have the URL. We have to populate it. So I would say you're looking at about 6 months out where that will be really filled of people who have not just the technical training, but also understand the mental emotional component of the healing journey.
Well, I know that you say that there should be a healer in every household. And
yes,
is that your solution to the current crisis in healthcare?
Well, I think the solution, yeah. Well, my feeling is that we need to become awake and we need to become conscious of the crisis first. That's the first thing. So it's really education. And education, questioning our beliefs, really looking at, are we going to be continually dependent on drugs that are supposed to be doing this, that, and causing a lot of, side effects for people? Do we fully understand that the current paradigm of conventional medicine is not based, it's not solution based, it's being able to manage the symptoms. So we don't really talk about healing. And, if strange enough, when you go to the other side as in, naturopathic physicians, we're not supposed to talk about curing. So, it's like this no man's land in between, and we're not having enough public debate and public discussions on this. on the subject. Are we really supposed to be fighting our body? Are we really at war with our body? Or should we be looking at how we can work with our body and how we can preserve our health and how can we prevent, invaders, whether we look at it like viruses or bacteria or, the breakdown of our bodies. So it's really changing how we see health and how much priority we give to health. I mean, you can ask everyone, almost everyone, they're not worried about health until they get sick.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's like, oh, this is never going to happen to me. And especially, when you're younger, you just think you're invincible. I mean, there's no question. We see that all the time. But I know you think it's really, really important that people take responsibility for their own health. And I think a majority of people do, but I also think there are so many mixed messages out there, and people are confused to what they should do and what they shouldn't do, and the holistic medicine versus traditional medicine, and uh, uh, various forms of medicine that there are. I mean, this is a lot for a person to digest and know what is the right thing to do. And
Mm-hmm.
certainly, we're not getting any younger. Our population is aging, and we're staying. We're living longer, so naturally, more things are going to be happening to us. So, what is your suggestion? What should people do if I am just a normal person? What's step number one for me?
Well, from what I can offer, it's really to start listening to your body. In other words, when you wake up in the morning, don't fight against your body. Listen to it. If you're, eating, if you're full, stop eating. If you're thirsty, drink, drink water.
Push the plate away. That's one thing I'm really proud of. I mean, I love to eat, so I
Me
mean, I'm
too.
not overweight, but I love to eat. But I have found that lately, um, if I'm done, I'm done. Even if there's
Mhm.
a part of the meal left on my plate, if it's something I want to take home, I will. If it's something I don't want to take home, I won't. But I certainly don't have to clean my plate. But most of us, at least most of us, because remember, this is a show for women 50 plus, most of us were brought up, eat everything on your plate. There were
Exactly.
starving children in wherever it was. The countries changed, but the message didn't. And so, it's something that we do have to be aware of. Now, uh, where do you stand on what you should be eating? I mean, is there something that a Bowen practitioner advises in terms of food?
Right. No. So the my bone practitioners are all trained in the listen methodology, and listen is an acronym. So it's listening to your body, and I'll just say what the acronym is because that'll give you a good idea. L stands for love. So we really talk about how we listen to our body, the type of self-care we require. Inquiry, which is the I, is all about questioning our thoughts and our beliefs and seeing, where do we stand on the things exactly that were brought down through generations, like, be the human garbage, eat everything, feel guilty because you've left something on your plate or whatever. S in the listen is for symptoms. They act like symbols in our life. If, let's say, we feel obstructed, what else in our life is obstructed? So it's, I'm simplifying it, but we make sort of metaphors about our life, and often we can see that our body is speaking the same kind of language directly because there is no separation between the mind and the body. And T in listen is about touch and trust. And this is really the connection to our own body and our ability to, well, physically touch it, but to respect it, to know that, that is a finite truth we have. We, on this planet, this is our body, and what we allow to happen to it is completely our business. And it's to really be able to understand that on a profound level and a transformational level. And E is about engaging, and that's about the energy that it takes to, and it's about alignment, really. How do you align to the vision you have, and how do you muster the energy and the engagement to go there? And N is now, because there's no point starting later. So that's a very simple N. But everyone's gone through their own sort of self work on that subject, so that when a client or a patient comes in, it's much easier to understand, the baggage, the beliefs, what people have gone through, or the lack of self-care, or so many practitioners are coming from service, which is perfect. They should be coming from service. They're here to help, but they work to the detriment of their own sanity, their own health, their own families, their own, even their own pocketbooks. So many well-meaning practitioners are disconnected from the way the world seems to work, where money is part of the, our way of doing business. So it really is on all those levels that we need to, reposition and re-question where we're coming from in our healing journey. And I'm not sure, could you repeat the question exactly so that I am answering? I feel like I've given lots of background, which is what I do.
I got the end, though. What is the end? I've got to get the end in here. L-A-N-C-E, what is the end?
Oh, E is engage and N is now. Do it now. Don't wait.
Well, I think what I was asking is, we take responsibility for health and so forth, but what's the number one thing we have to do? In other words, to make sure that we are healthy. Is it just that we should go for our yearly or every 6-month checkup? Or, what is our responsibility as?
Yeah. Okay, so I think that the best thing that a person can do is literally listen to their body, listen to that inner voice that speaks to all of us. And what's happening is that we have sort of abdicated that responsibility to the medical industry, to the pharmaceutical industry, to solutions outside of ourselves. And what I think the first step is to realize that our bodies are capable of changing things, of healing. And, we don't prescribe a certain diet. We don't say, oh, you need to do the ketogenic diet, or you need to do the gluten-free diet, or you need to do there's so many diets out there. I don't want to even start naming them. The thing is, it's individual. We need to know how our body reacts. We need to listen to the symptoms. So, if, let's say, you are sensitive to wheat, you might find that you get very sleepy, or that you get bloated, or that your body doesn't feel good after that. So instead of reaching for all kinds of pills that, mask those symptoms, we need to look at the cause. We need to pay attention and recognize, oh, you know what, it's interesting. I had wheat, and that's why, my nose is obstructed, or, so it's starting to look inside yourself and pay attention to your body. And when I designed my program, which you can have access to, it's you can go to Bowen College. So Bowen is BOWEN, and then college, COLLEGE.com. You'll see there's different programs I have for the public as well. And Listen is one of them. And there's a webinar that's it's about an hour and a quarter long, and that's free. You can just listen, and I kind of go through all that process and what you can do if you want to participate more deeply and really get help in looking at your own life and seeing, what can you do? What's your next step in all of this? But it's not like the steps come from within. And I think that's part of it. Now, if all you have is a a GP or a medical doctor, and again, nothing against medical doctors whatsoever. It's just that, and the States may be a little bit different, but in Canada, they're very much tied in to what I would say the pharmaceutical industry, and it's a systemic issue. And I haven't really looked enough in the States, how it might differ. But I was just listening yesterday, in fact, to Sean Buckley. He's from Total Health, the Total Health Show, and he's a lawyer that has been, an advocate of health since about 23 years. And they're in the process of sort of, presenting a law that doctors will have no choice but to only let patients know about the drugs that have gone through this double-blind, placebo process. And to be able to qualify for that process, you have to have $1 billion. So the health industry is wondering, I don't have $1 billion
Why
to.
$1 billion? I don't understand.
Yeah. So in other words, in order to, and this is a Canadian situation that it's worth looking in every country, what's different and how can, what can people do about this? But for example, in order to be able to have Health Canada approve your drugs, the drug companies must pay $1 billion to go through this double-blind process. And so let's say that they have 10 products that and for a pharmaceutical company, paying $1 billion for each product is not a big deal. They're huge. It's a huge deal for us, in the healthcare industry that are not using patent products. But for a pharmaceutical company that's looking to have patent rights, it's no big deal. Now, even if 8 of the 10 products that they put out fail the scrutiny of the double blind, and to pass, you need to have slightly above the placebo effect. And it doesn't matter what sort of side effects you have, because they look at that separately. The impact must be slightly better than placebo. So if they get through the process and they're recognized, well, that product will be like a blockbuster. I mean, they can make hundreds of billions of dollars with that product. So for them, it's no big deal. Now, what happens to the doctors is that they can only tell their patients to take these types of drugs, the drugs that have been able to pass this criteria. So what's happening to the drugs that are no longer patented or have lost their patent, or all natural products, is that all of those can't go through this, and no one would, because they can't be patented. And so when you look at that system, and this is Health Canada, and Health Canada has a huge budget that is coming from the pharmaceutical companies paying, $1 billion for every product it's testing. But what's that doing in the end is that it's removing choice from people. It's a type of almost censorship, because we don't get informed. We don't have the whole picture. We only have.
There, I'm going to stop you there, Manon, and let's take our break. We're going to come back in a few minutes.
Sure.
And we'll continue on with this.
Okay, awesome.
We'll be back with Dr. Bolliger very, very shortly.